one of the things I've learned from cultures all over the world that everybody has stories about a trickster. Well, in this story, the trickster, as it is in many Native American tales, is Coyote. And there are a lot of stories about Coyote the trickster, but only one story I have ever encountered that mentions his wife. So this is the one. Coyote, being a trickster, loved to play, well, jokes and pranks upon all the other creatures. This gathered him some laughter and a considerable number of enemies. And eventually, Coyote realized that if he is going to continue with this sort of activity, it's about time he makes some friends. Someone to be around and maybe watch his back. And when choosing his friends, he decided to go for the biggest, strongest friend he could possibly find, and that was Grizzly Bear. So he decides to go seek out Grizzly Bear. He says, "Grizzly Bear, my old friend, you should come to my lodge and we will eat again sometime." And Grizzly Bear says, "Do I know you?" You see, Grizzly Bear was big and strong, not horribly bright. But Coyote said, "Well, of course we do. Come to my lodge tomorrow evening and we will eat together and talk about old times." And Grizzly Bear says, "All right." So Coyote runs out onto the plains and he catches 2 prairie chickens, which are his favorite. And he takes them home and calls to his wife, saying, "Wife, we are to have an important guest this evening. Here, take these birds and prepare them." So his wife takes the 2 prairie chickens, and as she does so, thinks to herself, "All right, I know how this is going to work. The 2 of them are going to eat and talk for the rest of the evening, and I'll be lucky if I get a bone to chew on when they're all done." So she decides it's time to fix this. So she accepts the 2 chickens and begins to pluck them and says, "All right, I will prepare them for you, but I will need to cut them apart, and my knife is very dull. Here, sharpen it for me, and take it out behind the lodge to do it, because I don't want you getting dust all over all of the food." So he takes the knife and he goes out behind the lodge. And as soon as he does, Mrs. Coyote finishes plucking the chickens and eats them all up to the last bit. And they were delicious. And just as she's finishing, she sees Grizzly Bear coming down the pathway. So she steps out to the front door and says, "Ah, you must be the guest that my husband is expecting. Good. Now we can begin our traditional feast." And Grizzly Bear says, "Oh, all right, what is that?" And Mrs. Coyote says, "Well, it is a tradition in our house that anytime a guest comes to our house like this, we cut off his testicles and make a stew of it." And Grizzly Bear says, "He didn't tell me that part." And Mrs. Coyote just shrugged and said, well, of course, he must have told you. He's out back sharpening the knife as we speak." And Grizzly Bear looks around the lodge and sees him sharpening this large knife and looks back and says, "Maybe I will come back another time, but not today." And turns around and takes off down the path. So now Coyote, seeing Grizzly Bear running in the other direction, runs to the front of the lodge and says, "Wife, what did you say to him?" And she said, "I said nothing to him. I just greeted him at the front door and he grabbed both of the chickens and took off with them." Now Coyote, of course, is a well-known, experienced liar, and Mrs. Coyote is no slouch at it either. So she and Grizzly Bear run away. Coyote starts running down the path after him, saying, "Grizzly Bear, come back. We haven't eaten yet." And Grizzly Bear says, "Maybe some other time," and runs even faster. "But Grizzly Bear," says Coyote, running down the path, waving his hand with the knife still in it. But Grizzly Bear, can't I have just one? No, says Grizzly Bear. And runs even faster, so now all Coyote can see is a cloud of dust disappearing into the distance. So he goes back to his lodge, and that night he's laying next to his wife in the darkness, looking up at the ceiling, thinking, I don't understand that. I invited him over, and I was very polite about it. Grabs the food and runs away. I don't understand what's going on. Mrs. Grizzly Bear, Mrs. Coyote, on the other hand, said nothing. She just lay beside him, looked up into the darkness, and grinned to herself, having proved that even the master trickster can be had.